Good morning, students. Myself, CA Vibhavadhavan. So we'll be starting the employee cost. There was some technical problem, so the class got delayed by 20 minutes. And they still we are the fixing the problem. So soon I'll be able to see your queries. But let's start employee cost and direct expenses. Till yesterday, we have done the introduction and the material cost sessions. So today we'll be starting with the second important element of cost, which is employee cost. All right. So there are three main elements of cost: material, labor, and expenses. So material we covered in the last few sessions, and today we'll be starting the employee cost. All right. So what is employee? The compensation, what exactly is the labor cost, the wages, the compensation so paid either in monetary terms, in kind or facility. So whatever you pay monetary, kind or facility is known as wages. Cost of paying wages to workers is known as labor cost. All right. So whatever you are paying to the labor, whether it's in kind, whether it's money, or whether it's a facility you are giving, perquisite, which we call in tax. All right. So if we are, giving some facility also, let us say we are giving a servant to them, we are giving a car to them, we are giving a house to them as an accommodation. So that facility is also a cost to the employer. Clear? So cost of paying wages is known as labor cost. So everything you are paying to the laborer, to the employee, to the staff as a compensation for their services is called labor cost. Clear? So employee cost is wider term, which includes wages, salary, bonus, incentives paid to an employee and charged to a cost object as labor cost. Cost object, again, we have discussed, it could be any product, it could be any department. For whatever you have to calculate the cost, that is a cost object. All right. So you have to calculate the cost of a product. So product is a cost object that again we have discussed in the introduction part. So the employee cost is whatever you are paying to the employee or the staff or the laborer or the worker, whether it's cash or kind or salary or bonus or incentive or overtime or festival advance, anything which you are paying, everything is part of employee cost. Even the contribution to their provident funds, whatever employer is paying to the employee, it is part of employee cost. Clear? So employee basically cost benefits are available to the employees, whether permanent or temporary. So some employees are on a permanent role, some employees are temporary. Employee cost includes payments made in cash or in kind. So employee cost includes the wages, it includes allowances. We give, a house rent allowance, we give conveyance allowance or transport allowance. So there are many allowances which are given to the employees as per the policy of the company. Payment for overtimes, employer contribution to provident fund and other welfare funds. So what the employer also contributes. I hope you have this basic idea that employee also contributes to provident fund and employer also contributes to the provident fund. So it is over and above the salary. It is a statutory requirement. It's provided by law that provident fund contribution will be made by employer and employee both. Clear? Other benefits also, it's given to the employee: leave with pay, free food, free lunch, subsidized food, other refreshment expenses, or your leave travel, what all other facilities are also given to the employee. It's all carry a cost. You give the shuttle service, the bus service, the transport service, pick and drop service, that carries a cost to the employer. So everything which you are giving, every facility, every money which you are giving to the employee is part of employee cost or labor cost. Clear? So classification of employee cost. Employee costs are basically direct and indirect. Direct cost is which is directly measurable to any cost object, which is directly identifiable. That is a direct cost. Same with material, the way we discussed in material. So direct cost is the benefit which can be attributed to a cost object in an economically feasible manner. So this can be allocated to an activity or a cost center or any cost subject. So which you can directly and easily and economically measure and allocate and attribute to any product is a direct cost. When we can actually identify, okay, this person has actually worked on the product. So the salary or the wages which we are giving to that person is a direct cost. But let us say a supervisor. Supervisor is supervising 10 products. So whatever salary is given to the supervisor is not the direct. He is not directly working on the product. He is supervising the products. So his salary will be indirect. So the laborer who is working on the product, whatever you are paying to that labor is direct labor. The supervisor who is just supervising all the products, not directly working on any single product, the salary which you are paying to the supervisor is indirect labor. Clear? So the salary of the supervisor will be shared amongst all the 10 products. But the worker who is working on the product, his wages will be allocated to that product only. His wages will not go to other product. Clear? So that is what we mean by direct and indirect. So something which we can directly identify to any product is a direct labor cost. Any cost, any laborer work which we cannot directly measure or attribute or identify to a product is called indirect. Clear? So direct and indirect, it is the cost incurred in payment of employees who are directly engaged in the production process, right? And indirect, of course, who are not directly engaged. So who are working directly on the product is the direct cost. Direct employee cost can be easily identified and allocated to a cost unit. Clear? So worker A is working on product A and he has given 5 hours on product A and we are paying him 100 rupees per hour and he had spent 5 hours on product A. So clearly his wages is 500 and that 500 is the labor cost for product A. It's a direct cost. Clear? But the supervisor salary, if he is getting 10,000 and he's supervising 5 products or let us say 10 products he's supervising. So his salary will be apportioned, will be shared by all the 10 products. So 1,000 salary will be shared by all the 10 products. So the shared, the apportionment is the indirect. Clear? Direct employee cost varies with the volume of production and has positive relationship. So direct cost will change with production. If that laborer is working on 2 product, so and he's working 5 hours on one product. So clear, and 100 rupees we are paying him per hour. So 5 hours on product A, so we were paying him 500. Now he's working on 2 products, so 5 hours each. Now his wages are 1,000. See, so then if we increase the number of production, labor cost also increases in direct proportion. Clear? But if the supervisor is already supervising 10 products and we add 2 more products, now he's supervising 12 products. So his salary is not going to increase. Clear? So direct labor cost increases with the volume of production. All right. I mean, it changes with the volume of production, whether increase or decrease. But indirect labor cost does not directly change with the volume of production. We add 1 unit, his salary also will not increase, right? So that is the concept of direct labor cost and indirect. So labor cost control. See, employee cost control is a very, very important factor for every organization when we talk about cost control. Employee cost control, you need to understand, it is not that you give them less wages, you give them less salaries because we have to control employee cost. So we will cut down on the salaries, we will cut down on the wages. No. Employee cost control does not mean that you cut down the salaries of employees, you cut down the wages of employees, you cut down the incentives, you cut down whatever facilities you are giving. No, you have to give them proper facilities, appropriate salary, appropriate wage rate, whatever is the suitable according to the job they are doing. You have to give them appropriate, you have to give them incentives, you have to give them facilities so that they are motivated. But having said that and having giving them everything, whatever they deserve and whatever, is applicable for that particular job. Then how to do cost control? We have to increase the volume of production so that the labor cost per unit decreases. Clear? So let us say if we are paying 10,000 as salaries. Clear? And production is 1,000 units. All right. So the labor cost per unit is 10. 10 per unit is the labor cost. But if now labor cost control does not mean that you reduce this. No, you have to give 10,000. But 10,000 is the salary. But if I increase the volume with 22,000 units, I increases the production by 1,000 units. Now the production is 2,000. So see, the labor cost will come down to 5 per unit. This is what we mean by labor cost control. It does not mean कि आप उनकी salary or wages कम कर दो. Clear? You should increase the efficiency of production so that you produce more with the available resources, you minimize losses, you minimize waste, you minimize the idle time, the machine is staying idle, the laborers are sitting idle because the raw material is not there, the power is not there. So these things should be avoided. This is what we mean by labor cost control. All right. So control of employee cost does not employ control over the size of the wage bill. It does not employ that wages should be as low as possible. No, the aim should be to keep the wages per unit of output as low as possible. And this can only be achieved by giving employees appropriate compensation. You give them proper salary, you give them proper incentives, but the efficiency should increase. So that the volume of production increases. All right. So that optimum output can be achieved in an effective manner. So that exactly we have to learn how we are going to do employee cost control. So now organization of labor cost control. So we are talking about labor cost control. So all the departments, there are many departments who work towards the objective of labor cost control. There's a complete coordination amongst all the departments. The first prerequisite is that there should be coordination among all the departments. Then only we can control the labor cost. All right. So the first personnel department, which is also called as HR department, engineering and work study department. You remember in materials module, I told you bill of material is made by the engineering department. So all the technical part is done by the engineers department. All right. The same here. Then the labor part is also the major labor part is also done by engineering and work study. We'll see what all are is the functions of all these departments. Then timekeeping department, very important. Then payroll department, which makes the salary. Then cost accounting department. So there are 5 major departments which work along with each other to calculate the wages, to know how much should be the wages, how to pay, and then how to make efforts that the labor cost control should be minimum. So personnel department is also the HR department. So what is the role of the personnel department? So as when we require material, we issue material requisition. So when any department needs more employees, needs more workers, needs more laborers, then they make an employee requisition that we want employees. There is a vacancy in the personnel department. Let us say there is no supervisor. So they will send to the personnel department an employee requisition that we want a supervisor. We don't have a supervisor. So again, personnel department takes care of it. So when the personnel department receives the employee requisition from various departments, it looks for the skills and qualification. Okay, so what role supervisor has to play? Accordingly, you will look for a suitable supervisor. What should be the qualification? What should be the skill? The type of supervisor we require for our organization according to the method of production, according to the industry standards, according to whatever the setup is there in the organization. Accordingly, again, so there has to be a coordination. What you want in a supervisor, accordingly personnel department will look for that particular person to fill the vacancy. So it ensures that the persons recruited possess the qualification and skills required for the job. So it's a very, very big responsibility on the personnel department to search for a suitable person to fill the vacancy. So if when the recruitment is done, then proper training for the newly recruited employees and workshops for existing employees. All right. So for the new recruited employees, they, first you have to give them training. Then only they can work with that efficiency. So the new person, because every organization has a different setup. Even an experienced person will join a new organization. So we have to give him training, because every organization uses a different system, the processes are different, the method of production is different, so we need to give training and workshops for existing employees. For existing employees also, we need to update them with the new system, so we have to give them proper workshops so that they understand the new system also. So entire responsibility is on personnel department. Maintains all personal and job related records of the employees. So personnel department has every detail of every employee who is working in the organization. All right. So they have, the name, their residence and everything, all the educational qualifications, kahan se kiya, they verify that, what all experiences they have got, from where they have worked, so what are the type of companies they have worked, how many years of experience they have, what skills they have, what professional experience they have. So everything, every detail of all the employees are there with the personnel department. And evaluation of performance for time to time. HR department is also responsible to evaluate the performance or of the employees as per the required standard. So any incentives, any overtimes, promotions and transfers from one job to another, everything is decided in the personnel department. All right, engineering and work study department, it prepares plans and specifications for each job. Clear? So they actually work on the job and on the job holder. So they do the preliminary task. They specify the job also. What are the requirements of the job? Like they used to do in material specification list. What are the requirements of any product? What type of materials were used? Same with the employee. For a particular job, what type of a person is required, what qualifications are required, what skills are required, what knowledge is required, what abilities are required, what type of experience is required. So everything, every technical detail is gathered by the engineering and work study department. Clear? So, and providing training and guidance to the employees. They also give training and guidance to the employees. They see what type of training should be given to the employees. Of course, supervises production activities. So they supervise and monitor the production activities also, so that, the idle time should be reduced, the wastage should not be there. It should be more efficient. Production, it's a continuous process. That production should be more effective and efficient. Conducts time and motion studies. Time and motion studies, a very important concept, a very technical concept. It's a continuous process for cost control. Time study means under time study is included how much cumulative time is required to do an activity. So let us say there are 4 activities being done to produce a product. So the product passes through 4 activities. So how much time this activity 1 is going to take? Let us say 1 hour. Then till second activity, how much time? So let us say 4 hours. Till second activity, 4 hours will be done. Till third activity, let us say 5 hours. Till third activity, it's going to take 5 hours. Till fourth activity, it's going to take, let us say other 9 hours. So cumulative time to complete one job is 9 hours. So time study means it calculates the time on the basis of maybe stopwatch. First activity starts till second activity. So it can be individual activity timing also and cumulative also. So I have done the cumulative. Till second, activity, 4 hours will be used. Till third activity, 5 hours will be consumed. Till fourth, 9 hours. So that means this product takes 9 hours to complete. Clear? So this is a time study. Motion study is, it's not just, completing the job. The job should be done effectively and efficiently. See, in time study, we just calculate that time which is consumed to do a specific task. All right. But motion study says that it's not only just completing the task, it's to do the task more efficiently. More time should be saved. Clear? So it focuses on saving of more time. So it will scrutinize the movement of every employee. The employee goes from one activity to second activity, then from to third activity. Then he goes to, pick up the tools from the storeroom, and then he comes back to fourth activity. So the motion study involves to track the movement of the employee and the machine also. What exactly is the process of machine? So it scrutinizes everything, the movement of the men and the machine, so that the time can be saved, the wastage can be eliminated. That is motion study. So time and motion study are very, very important exercise which is done by engineering and work study department. Undertakes job analysis. As I told you, job analysis means they describe the job, and of course the job holder also. That means what, how much, what exactly is the task to be done in this job. All right. And what will be the, how many hours it's going to take to complete that job? What designation will be required to do this job? So all these things are done by the engineering department as part of job analysis. What qualifications a person need to have? What, abilities and skills and knowledge and experience a person need to have to carry out a particular job? So a complete job analysis is made, which is a master document. It is done by the engineering department. Conducts job evaluation. Now, this again is a very important thing. Job evaluation means what is the importance of this job in the entire organization. So the jobs, different jobs are ranked. They are given ranking. So this ranking is very important to understand how crucial this job is. Accordingly, we will see what qualification is required to carry out this job, and accordingly the salary and wage will be fixed. The more crucial the job is, the more technical the job is, the person who will do this job will get a better salary. All right. If a job is done, can be done manually and not that important, it can be done by one person, and the other day the other person can also do. So the level of importance, the category of importance. So we rate the jobs as per the priority or importance. Accordingly, now this exercise is very important to fix a proper wages or salaries for that particular job. What should be the suitable salary for this job? So for this is, and I'm just giving an idea what exactly the term means. So a very, very crucial department, engineering and work study, which does the planning part. All right. So moving further, timekeeping department, of course, as the name suggests, timekeeping means it's concerned with the maintenance of attendance records. So there are two types of attendance records. One is the, how much time the worker or employee spends in an organization, what time he enters, what time he leaves. And the second thing, within the factory premises, within the organization, during the day, what he does, how much time he's spending on the job, how much time is he spending on various departments. So how he is using that time. Let us say he's there in the organization from 9 to 5. So during these 8 hours, how he has spent his time. So both ways, both the record is being kept by timekeeping department. Clear? Payroll department, of course, payroll department gives you the salary. The payroll department will get the information from all the departments regarding how much time they have spent and what work they have done. And accordingly, they will calculate your salary and wages after giving certain deductions. Cost accounting department, it classifies the cost, it accumulates the cost, it calculates the labor cost into direct cost and indirect cost, and they do the analysis. So the cost accounting department do the analysis of all the cost, whatever labor cost is being incurred, to classify them. This is direct and this is indirect. So this part is done by cost accounting department. So major accounting, the costing part is done by cost accounting department. So the factors for the control of employee cost, what exactly? Assessment of manpower requirements. Of course, you should know how much employee or workers you require. So again, like materials, you should not overstock. So similarly for employees, there should be not overemployment. All right. So you should not employ so many people that they are sitting idle. There is no work for them. So surplus manpower should also not be there. but sufficient manpower should be there. It should also not be employees are not there for the job and there are too many vacancies, and the work is getting suffered or the production is getting suffered. So again, so assessment of manpower, control over timekeeping and time booking, of course, because it records the time and the work done on the job. Time and motion study, I already explained you. This is very, very important for cost control. Control over idle time and overtime. So idle time means sitting idle, don't doing any work. See, normal lunch break, tea break, coffee break is given in every organization. That is a normal idle time. But over and above that, a worker, an employee should not waste time or sit idle because it carries a cost. All right. Control over employee turnover. Many employees leaving the organization frequently, coming, joining and leaving. So if the organization if the employees leave the organization very frequently, what happens? Again, you have to hire another person. Again, you have to give them training. Again, you have to, till the time they get settled, the production will also suffer because a new employee cannot give you that production efficiency which a existing employee gives. So it carries a cost. So we have to control employee turnover. बहुत ज्यादा employees बार छोड़ रहे हैं, that means there is some problem. Wage and incentive schemes, of course, you have to give them incentives so that they are motivated to work. Job evaluation and merit rating, I told you. So job evaluation is evaluating the job and merit rating is evaluating the performance of the employee, job holder. Clear? And employee productivity. So again, all this appraisal system is part of employee cost. Collection of employee cost is the task of cost accounting department. So we have discussed cost accounting department basically, classifies the cost. They accumulate the cost and then they classify into direct cost and indirect cost, and then indirect, and then the idle time cost, and any abnormal gain or loss, they're transferred to the profit or loss account. So all this costing and classification and recording of cost is done by cost accounting department. All right. Attendance and payroll procedures. So we have to have this. I think we have 1 minute. I think we have, just give me 1 minute. Okay, fine. So this we have discussed, right? Attendance and payroll procedure. So this department is concerned with two important activities, timekeeping and time booking. So timekeeping is, let us say this is the factory gate. Clear? This is the factory gate. So a worker is entering at 9 a.m. Clear? So timekeeping will record that he's entering at and he's marking his attendance. Maybe, through whatever the attendance methods we'll discuss. And then the entry time, and then he's leaving at 5 p.m. All right. So he's making an exit. And here he is making an entry. So timekeeping is workers coming in and going out. So 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. This time of every worker will be prepared by timekeeping department. Time booking is during this time when he is inside the premises, what he has worked. So let us say there are department A, department B. So he has worked in department A and then he has worked in department B. In department A, he has worked on job 1 and job 2. In department B also, he has worked in job 3 and job 4. So how he is using his time during those 8 hours when he's in the organization, this data is given by time booking department. Booking means how much time he has booked, how much time he has actually worked inside the premises. So let us say he's there for 8 hours, but he has worked only for, 7 hours. According to the time booking department, he has actually worked in this department on these jobs for total for 7 hours. That means 1 hour is the idle time. He has not worked. He will be paid for 8 hours, but he has worked only for 7 hours. So let us say if we give 30 minutes for lunch break and 10 minutes for tea break also, still he is using that, around 20 minutes as abnormal idle time. So this is how, the labor cost control can be done. Clear? To improve the efficiency of the worker. So timekeeping is recording of each worker's time of coming in and going out. during engagement of the factory, it is essential for the purpose of attendance. So timekeeping means preparation of payroll, ensuring discipline in attendance, apportionment of overhead on the basis of labor hours, indirect cost, basically, minimization of labor cost, and ascertaining idle labor time. So timekeeping and time booking department, they are very, very important. So timekeeping generally notes down the entry and exit time. So these are the following methods of noting down the attendance. Manual method, attendance register. Everybody must be knowing what is attendance register. So we mark the manual attendance. I hope you know. So this is nothing new to explain. Again, so manipulation can be done. Attendance register mein you are coming next day and you are signing a day before. So manual attendance hai, to isme there can be manipulation. Token or disk method. So every employee has a token number and he carries a token. And when he enters the factory, he will hand over the token to the timekeeping staff. So the moment you give the hand over the token, that means this employee has entered. That token will be kept by the timekeeping staff. And when he will leave in the evening, then he will get back the token and the time will be noted that now we are giving back him the token. That means he is leaving. So he will carry the token along with him. All right. So once he enters, he will deposit the token, and when he will leave, he will take the token. So that is again, a lot of manipulation can happen. Mechanical method. Now they are very effective. Punch card is, your ID card is in digital form. So ID card, everybody knows. So ID card becomes the ID in digital form. You just, scan that ID card or you just insert in punching machine. And the moment you insert your ID card inside the punching machine, it will record your time. Clear? So, but the demerit is anybody can carry your ID card and, insert inside the machine. So anybody can carry that. So that is the drawback of the punching card. So biometric is the most effective one, but yes, it's an expensive method also. So biometric can be used in large organizations. In small organizations, generally still manual method is going on, or maximum punching machine, punch card method is going on. But biometric is the most effective way. No manipulation can happen because it will scan your physical traits. It will scan your eye, it will scan your face, it will scan, you have to put your finger. So now nobody can carry your finger, nobody can carry your face. So only you have to come, and only then they will recognize your face and the features, and then they will mark attendance. So this is the most effective method. But again, it's a high cost method. So in large organizations only this method is used. So requisites of a good timekeeping system, I think it's easy to understand that it should not allow proxy. All right. And there should be a provision of recording time of peace of employees, so that regular attendance and discipline. So the time of peace employee means who work on job basis. They don't work on time basis. They work on job basis, how many units they have produced. So now how much time they are taking to produce those units. So that is how the time is calculated. So peace employee means those who are paid on per unit basis. Let us say, and they are generally temporary workers. Yeah, so they come, they will produce 5 units. So they will get the rate per unit. So as many units they will produce, as many units they will make, accordingly they will be paid. So, but again, we have to note the time. So how much time they are taking to make the units. So that is again, we have to record. Time of arrival as well as departure should be recorded, of course. And method of recording of time should be mechanical. Jitna mechanical ho utna better hai. Manual mein manipulation hota hai. Clear? Latecomers should record late arrivals. Clear? The system should be simple, smooth, and it should be, periodically maintained. So check bhi karna hai usko. Time booking, as I told you, how the worker spends his time during the day in the organization. What all, wherever he goes, what all he spends the time in every department, on every job, on any activity, everything is noted down. So time booking is where each activity of the employee is recorded. Clear? The data is recorded further to measure the time spent on a particular job, for costing, efficiency, and responsibility. So for costing, of course, the time spent on a particular job is required to compute the cost of the job. Clear? So if he is working on job AA and he is working 5 hours, and the rate per hour which we are paying him is 100. So the labor cost for job A is 500. So it's very important to record proper time which he has taken on this job, and it helps to compute the cost of this job. So 500 is the labor cost. 500 is the labor cost which we have to allocate to job A. Accurate. So time booking department role is very, very important. It has to be accurate. Otherwise, it will hugely affect the labor cost of the product. Clear? Time booking for measuring efficiency, of course, if he has taken 5 hours and he should have taken 3 hours, that means he is taking plus 2 hours extra. So it's very important to measure his efficiency, how efficient he is. All right. And fixation of responsibility. Of course, if he's taking extra time and repeatedly he's taking extra time, then he has to be monitored. He has, he should be answerable. He should be responsible that why he's taking extra time every time. So again, for the collection of such data, we have two types of information and two types of cards a time booking department can make, a time card or a job card. Clear? So time card means a time or a job card. That means a card will be made job wise. All right. So for example, okay. For example, if we are making card, there is job A, and if we are making card job wise, all right. So employee 1 is, spending 5 hours. Then employee 2 is spending 3 hours. Then employee 3 is spending 4 hours. So a job card will be made, and in this job card we'll be knowing how much actual work is done on this job. So a job card is very, very useful to calculate the labor cost of a job. Whosoever has worked on this job, the employee hours will be recorded on that job. So every employee time will be recorded on the same job card if they are working on the same job. So it's very, very good medium to calculate the total labor cost of on the who has worked on this job. Clear? But again, indirect labor cost is very difficult. Indirect labor cost, now supervisor's time we cannot record here because it is indirect. So job card is effective to calculate the direct labor cost, the employees or the workers who have worked directly on the job. But the indirect labor cost we cannot, record on the job card. That we have, that is the drawback of the job card. But again, that as I explained you, direct labor cost we will get from this job card. But the supervisor salary, the share of the supervisor salary on this job will be apportioned on a different basis later on. Then that will be done by cost accounting department. But at least direct labor cost we will be able to get from the job card. All right. Okay, so the job card will record a total time spent on a particular job and a number of people are engaged. So the time of all those employees will be booked. So one advantage is that it gets a complete data on the content of the job, so that computation of employee cost is facilitated. Now, drawbacks are, since an employee job timing is scattered, but this employee is working on job B also. So now how to calculate the time of the employee to pay him salary? Because he's working on different jobs. So he has to record his time on different jobs, job A, job B, job C. So how will we record the time of the employee on different jobs? That is a tedious process. Clear? Job labor cost तो calculate हो जाएगी, but employee का time कैसे calculate होगा? He is working on different jobs. All right. So then idle time kitna hua, kaise hua, it's very difficult to, monitor. So that is why the total of these times, so the worker is working on how much time the worker has worked. How you will calculate? You will calculate his time on different job cards plus the idle time, and so it should be total of the total attendance time. Clear? So then this part of reconciling is very difficult. So that is the drawback, but otherwise job card is very effective. So the other is with reference to each employee. So we will make an employee card. So other way is to make an employee card. And then in the employee card, you will get all the details of the employee. That job A, he has worked for 5 hours. Job B, he has worked for 3 hours. So whatever time the employee is spending, you can, judge all the time in the employee card. So it will facilitate reconciliation of the employee's job time with his attendance time. So in many organizations, both the card can be made, job time and time card, so that you will reconcile and match. So the time should match. Clear? So separate card is used for each employee, for each day or for each week. And the time he spends on different jobs would be recorded in the same card. Clear? So this is how time booking department works. So now this is the entire payroll procedure. Timekeeping department, as we have discussed, they record the time and the time spent on the jobs also. Clear? So timekeeping department, then they have the personnel department. So see, timekeeping department will send the time, record of time to the payroll department, and personnel department will send the list of all the employees and their wage rate or their salary rate to the payroll department. So payroll department will make the pay slip. Payroll department will calculate the salary. They will make the pay slip of every employee and a worker. But they need the information. So the time information will be given. The time information will be given by the timekeeping department. How much, overtime they have worked. So how much, incentive it will be made. Then payroll department will calculate. And then personnel department will send the list of employees, whatever, how many employees are working, how many temporary workers are there, what is the rate fixed for them. So the rate is very important, the rate of salary, how much salary they will be getting. So that whatever is salary is fixed in their appointment letter, that wage rate or salary information is shared by personnel department. So both the information will go to payroll and they will make the pay slip. So pay slip will be sent to the cost accounting department. Cost accounting department will make the payment. How? First, they will do the deductions. They will do all the, provident fund deduction from the salary or other deductions on any loan they must have taken, that will be deducted. So any deductions from the salary of an employee or tax. All right. They also tax, deduct the tax, TDS, what we say, tax deducted at source. So cost accounting department will make the payment to the employee after deducting all the, whatever are the deductions, provident fund or other loan deductions or TDS, everything. And then the net amount is paid to the employee. And the provident fund deductions, ESI deductions are deposited to the statutory body. So जो PF account होता है government का, वहाँ पे they deposit. So this is a whole nexus how they work. This is the whole procedure they follow. Clear? So this everything happens in the employee department. All right. So these are the deductions which are being done by the cost accounting department. So provident fund, of course, I hope you know what is provident fund. It's a retirement benefit. So during the, during the life of the job of an employee, howsoever work they do, every month they contribute towards provident fund. And mostly equal amount is contributed by the employer. So both employee and employer contribute to the provident fund, and the provident fund is actually deducted. The contribution of employee towards provident fund and other ESI, it's deducted from the salary, and then they are paid the salary. Clear? So employee state insurance, so ESI contribution, ESI again is a social security, fund, where the employee gives makes a deduction every month like PF. Clear? So TDS is deducted, professional tax is deducted. Professional tax is a state tax. So every state government charges professional tax, especially the professional tax is paid by the working professionals, the lawyers, the chartered accountants, the doctors. They also pay professional tax. So every state has defined some professional tax. It's not a central tax; it's a state government tax. So some amount is deductible from their salary. Other deductions, voluntary contribution to provident fund. So let us say if rupees 1,000 is deducted, but the employee wants a higher deduction or ज़्यादा deduction, वो PF में he wants a higher contribution, so that is deductible. Contribution to any benevolence fund, so any other fund also which is available, that again the deduction is made. Loan deduction, again the employer has taken any loan from the organization, so we make a deduction. And other advances. All right, 1 minute. Other advances, any festival advance or anything which the employer must have taken, which the employee must have taken, is deducted from the salary. So these are all the deductions which are done from the salary of employee. Now the idle time. Students, the idle time during which no production is carried out, because the worker remains idle but are paid. In other words, it is a difference between time paid and the time booked. So idle time is the worker is being paid, but he is not, producing any activity. That is idle time. He's not contributing to production, but he's sitting idle. So there could be normal idle time, there could be abnormal idle time. Normal idle time means the holidays we give, the Sundays we give, the paid holidays we give, the lunch hour, the break hour, the tea time, whatever is the recreation time, that is a normal idle time. But if the worker is taking over and above that, that becomes abnormal idle time. All right. Okay, so I could see okay. Good morning, all of you. Yes, all right. So I hope you all are listening. So we had some technical problem. Now I think it is visible. So let me just have a look. Okay, good morning, good morning. Yeah, there was some technical issue, so it got delayed. Yes. It's like salary in tax, okay. We need more labor for the production, then how cost will be reduced? See, it's not that for every increase in the volume of production, you need more employees. With the same, the employees are not efficient. Volume of production means the optimal volume that you can achieve through the current labor force. The labor force, if they're working efficiently, they can increase the volume of production. We are not talking about taking additional orders and increasing production, and we want the same employees to work. We meant by that means to increase the efficiency of laborers, so that they can give their best possible contribution to the production. It's not that we are increasing, we are accepting additional orders, and then we are penalizing the existing workforce to work extra. No, we are saying that whatever we are paying, at least they should match the production accordingly. So we have to increase the efficiency. If the worker can produce 500 units in a day, and if he's producing only 350 units, so that means he's not that efficient. So the volume of production should be optimal vis-a-vis the current workforce and how the time is being spent. So by eliminating waste, by eliminating abnormal idle time, we can increase the efficiency, and vis-a-vis the production can be increased to that particular extent. All right. Increase the attendance record in punch card. Punch card means the ID card. In some ID card is in a digital form. So that there's a punching machine, and you just scan that card, or you just show the face of your ID card to that machine, and then your attendance is marked. So it's a punching machine. I mean, you can see in every organization it's a punching machine. It's like a debit or a credit machine. All right. Timekeeping and booking seem same. No, how can it be same, Pawan? Timekeeping and booking is totally different. I've explained you in detail. Timekeeping is like the time of your entry and exit. But time booking is how you are spending the time while you are inside. Timekeeping is you are entering at 9 a.m. and you are making an exit at 5 p.m. But time booking is how you are spending the 8 hours inside the organization. So they are totally different. 1 minute, there is I think it's stopped. All right. Now I think it's working. Yes, now I can see. So we have done this punch method. I've explained punch method. FSN system of inventory control. FSN system we have already done in the material. It's fast moving, slow moving, and non-moving. We've already done it is a method of inventory control on the basis of relative classification. Ashok, it's a part of material. You always, pose the queries from whatever we have done, and you, I think, don't pay attention in the current session which is going on. So which I produce them to more giving incentive. Yes, of course. So that exactly we mean by increasing the volume of production. We should motivate them. We should give them more incentives, and we should give them more recreation facilities. We can give them more perquisites so they are motivated to work. All right. So that way, at least they can be more efficient. So this where we were at the idle time. So where no production is carried out because the worker remains idle. So we have to minimize the abnormal idle time again. We cannot be so harsh and we cannot, cut down on their lunch break or cut down all their refreshment break. No, idle time has to be there. The worker needs an idle time, but there should not be abnormal idle time. If the lunch break is half an hour, they are spending 1 hour on the lunches and then, relaxing in the garden and park. That should not be there. So that discipline has to be maintained. So the normal idle time, the time lost between factory gate and place of work. So entry to kar li unhone 9 a.m. So they have entered at 9 a.m. but they are reaching the factory gate at 9, their place of work. Let us say the department A they have to reach. They are reaching at 9:30 a.m. So see, half an hour they are wasting here. So at least it should be like if it's a 5-minute walk, they are taking 30 minutes to reach the place of work. They have to start. So so the normal idle time is whatever is let us say it's a 5-minute walk. So if you're taking 30 minutes, that means 25 minutes is normal idle time. So see, we take the focus on normal idle time, that okay, there will be a time which will be lost to reach to the place of work. You cannot start work at the factory gate. You need to reach to your place of work. But again, it should not be abnormally high. All right. The interval between one job and another. So you need a break in between. The setting up time for the machine, normal rest time break. So these are the normal idle time. And as a concept, which we did in material also, any normal loss, whether it's a normal wastage, whether it's a normal idle time, it will always be part of cost of product. Clear? It will always be a part of cost of production. So it is treated as a part of cost of production always. And abnormal will never be a part of cost of production. Any abnormal cost due to any waste or abnormal idle time will go to costing profit or loss account. It will not be part of cost of production, right? So indirect workers, normal idle time is considered for the computation of overhead rate. So overhead rate means when the indirect labor cost is shared among all the departments or all the products. So we carry a proportionate rate. We calculate a rate on on the basis of which the indirect labor cost will be shared. So that rate, again, we take the normal idle for calculating rate as well. Clear? So again, it's part of cost of production. Abnormal idle time, poor workmanship, poor supervision, lack of coordination, raw material is not available, machine, is not set up on time. You're taking extra time to set up the machine. The oiling is not done. The power failure, nobody was there to check the maintenance. So due to power failure, half an hour was lost. Floods come, earthquake come. So earthquake comes, you have to rush out and, for that half an hour, maybe probably you are not working. So all these abnormal circumstances will lead to abnormal idle time. The worker is not working, the machine is not running, power is not there. So all these, abnormal idle time. So some abnormal idle time is controllable and some are uncontrollable. If an earthquake comes, you can't help. But if the availability of raw material is coming from the stores, you have, registered a late material requisition. The storekeeper is taking time to, extract the material and send it to the factory area. So all these time can be controllable through efficiency. Yeah. So idle time may arise due to abnormal factors like lack of coordination, power failure, breakdown of machine, non-availability of raw material, strikes, lockouts. Controllable are, due to you have to be more alert and efficient. And uncontrollable, of course, breakdown of machine or, there's a short circuit. So that things you can't help. That is uncontrollable. So abnormal idle time is not included as part of production always. And it will always go to costing profit or loss account. All right. So we have to basically controllable and uncontrollable. We just separate them to have more, uncontrollable is unavoidable. But at least you can control the controllable abnormal time, which is avoidable. All right. So that way we can increase the efficiency and volume of production, which I was mentioning. So this is what we mean by normal time and abnormal idle time. All right. Okay. So we have this illustration. Any other doubt? So just take a note of this illustration, students. All right. Okay. Yes, Ashok, you can ask, but I will give the time when I'm taking the current session. Then I would appreciate if you ask the doubts for the current session. Let us say in the starting, we can, address the doubts of the previous session or during the break time, but not in between when I'm, going through the current session. Hope you understand. All right, students, take the note of this question. So, X, an employee of ABC company, gets the following emoluments and benefits. All right. So, these are the basic pay, and he's getting DNS allowance, then he's getting bonus, he's getting other allowances, and employer's contribution. So, this is what he is getting. X works for 24 hours per annum. See, we have to, and 400 hours are non-productive and normal idle time. All right. Compute the effective hourly cost. So we have to calculate the hourly cost. Now, how to calculate the hourly cost? You should know how to calculate the cost per hour. What we need to calculate? Cost per hour. For cost per hour, what we require? We require, 1 minute. Okay. We require total cost divided by total effective hours. Effective hours means we don't have to take normal idle time. Effective hours. So we require total cost divided by total effective hours. We'll get cost per hour. All right. So first of all, we require total cost. So what all total cost he'll be getting? Basic pay 10,000 per month. So make it annual. So it will be 1,20,000. Basic pay is 1,20,000. DNS allowance is 2,000. So how much is the total DNS allowance? 24,000. Clear? So first we have to calculate the total cost to the employer. We have to calculate the cost. Clear? Bonus is 20% of salary and DA. So bonus has to be 20%. You can also quickly calculate, all of you. So bonus 20%. So this is 144,000. All right. So 144,000. Okay. So till now you have done. So 20% of salary and DA comes to 144 is 28,800. Clear? Other allowances also. Other allowances also you are getting. So it will be 30,000. And employees' contribution to Provident Fund, 10% of salary and DA. All right. So it will be 14,400. Please calculate the total amount, students. All right, calculate the total amount. So we have got the total cost which the employer is bearing for this employee. Basic pay, DNS allowance, bonus is 20% of salary and DA. So bonus is 28,800. So please add everything and just check the figures also. So how much is the total cost? Anybody calculating total cost? 217,200. All right. 217,200 should be the total cost. 217,200. Just check the figures. So total cost is 217,200 is the total cost. Yes, 217,200 is the total cost. Now divide by total effective hours. So total hours are 2,400 per annum. Per annum means per year. Out of which 400 hours are non-productive and treated as normal idle time. All right. So they are non-productive. That means if in normal idle time, had it been abnormal, तो हम उसकी costing नहीं करते. but this is normal. So 2400 minus 400, effective idle time are only 2000 hours. Clear? So now we will be calculating the rate. That means every 2400 hours, 400 hours will have to be lost due to normal idle time. So something which will happen every time, that is normal. All right. So 217,200 divided by 2000. Okay. So 108.6, 108.6 per hour is the labor cost. 108.6, yes, very good. So I'm good that so many students have calculated. 108.60 per hour is the labor cost. So this is the illustration. I hope you have understood. Good. Any doubt in this illustration? Any doubt in this illustration, students? All right, good, good, good. So many students have calculated. All right. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, this is the solution also we have. So you can have a good look at it. Statement showing computation of effective hourly rate, right? So we have this per month and this is the annual. So this is the total cost and this is total cost per month. Effective hours are 2000 and this is the actual answer, the final answer, 108.60. All right. Yes. All right, good. So let's move on. So this is the basic question, how we calculate the labor cost. Okay, students, I'll just take a 5-7 minutes of break. You just take a note of this question. Try to do this question, understand this question, and we'll just come after a break of 5 minutes. Okay. All right, students. So let's continue from here. So I've given you this illustration. Okay. So why we add employer contribution? See, employer is contributing towards the provident fund of an employee. Is not a cost to the employer. Is it? I mean, whatever employer is contributing to the provident fund is also a cost to the employer. So that's why we have added. See, we are calculating the labor cost. And I told you very clearly initially, whatever employee is paying to the employee, whether cash or kind or facility or any contribution whatsoever, it carries a cost to the employer. All right. So that will be part of the employee cost. See, there is a difference between cost and earnings. Whatever employee is getting in hand, that is different. We have done what is the labor cost to the organization, cost to the company we are calculating. Clear? So whatever employer is giving, he is contributing. Employer is also contributing towards provident fund. It's a cost to the employer. That's why we add. But it's not earnings. We are not calculating what employee is getting in hand. We are not calculating that. We are calculating employer cost, the labor cost, which the employer has to burn. All right. So that is why employer cost will be added, contribution. How to calculate total effective? Dev, total effective means how much the worker has actually worked effectively. He was there for 2400 hours in a year. And 400 hours, he didn't do anything. So effective hours were 2000. Effective hours means for how much hours the laborer actually worked. So he worked for 2000, 400 were idle time. He did not do any work. That is effective. Employee contribution, then we deduct from salary. See, when we calculate the earnings to the employee, when there are two different things, the cost and the earnings. When we calculate the earnings which the employee will get, then we will deduct the employee contribution. These are two different things. All right. Let me just explain you here only. So if we have to calculate labor cost, clear? Now pay attention, something which I am explaining you. And the other part could be earnings. I am explaining you here only. Clear? So labor cost means, let us say he is getting only basic he is getting. So 10,000. And earnings also he will receive 10,000. Clear? Now, employer is also contributing. Employer contribution to provident fund is 1,000. So labor cost, the cost to the employer is 11,000. 10,000 he is paying to the employee and 1,000 he is contributing to his salary or as PF. PF he will get later on, but he will not receive this 1,000, but employer is incurring this 1,000. So the labor cost is 11,000. But if we talk about earnings, employee is getting 10,000 and the employee contribution we will deduct less. Employee contribution, it's totally different. Employee contribution, what the employee is contributing to PF. So 1,000 employee is also contributing to his PF. That will be deducted. So employee will get 9,000 in hand. See, both the things are different. So if you have to be very careful what is asked in the question, and that is the mistake which students make. When we are calculating employee cost, the labor cost, the employer contribution will be added. But when we are calculating what the employee will receive as earnings, the employee contribution will be deducted. All right. So this is the difference between the two. I hope you have understood now. Okay. So it is right to employee contribution, not part of salary. Yes, employee contribution, not part of salary means employee will get when he will get retirement or when he will leave the organization. Then he will get this PF amount. During the service, no employee gets the Provident Fund contribution. Provident Fund is a retirement benefit. See, you should know the basic things also. Otherwise, you will not understand everything. See, everything cannot be explained. So Provident Fund is a very general term, is a very general concept, which everybody should know. At least a student of CA should know. because you must be doing taxation also. Clear? So provident fund is a retirement benefit, but every employee makes a deduction for the PF contribution every month. But he will get that money, but only after he leaves the organization or only when he will retire. It belongs to the employee only, but he will get it later. Currently, every month he has to give deduction. He has to contribute himself also. Employer is also contributing for his PF and he also has to contribute. So after retirement, he will get 2,000. 1,000 from the employer and 1,000 his own money, which he contributed. Clear? Right to say the direct cost is variable, but all variable cost may not be because tax depends upon, of course, I mean, mostly all direct cost is variable. Clear? Shobha, I cannot explain in Hindi. So I'll be, because if I start in Hindi, then again the students will say, some of the students might not understand Hindi. All right. So I'm using very basic English language. So I hope you will be able to understand. All right. So let's move on. We were doing this illustration. RTP, students, all this type RTP uploading and everything, please post your query to the institute. Not this session is not an appropriate platform for all these queries. All right, so this illustration, let us start. In a factory, we work 6 days in a week and 8 hours each day. All right. So in a week, 48 hours we are working. 6 days in a week and 8 hours. So that means 48 hours in a week. A worker is paid at the rate of 100 per day basic plus DA 120% of basic. He is allowed to take 30 minutes off during his, so 30 minutes off during his hour shift for meal breaks, so normal time, and 10 minutes recess for rest. So 40 minutes, every day 40 minutes is a break time. During a week, his card showed that his time, okay. So the employee card has shown that he has worked on 3 jobs. On job X, he has worked for 15 hours. On job Y, he has worked for 12 hours. And on job Z, he has worked for 13 hours. The time not booked was wasted. So this must be given by time booking department. See, time booking department will tell you how much exactly you have worked during the time you were there in the factory. So in cost accounting, how would you allocate the wages? All right. So you have to basically allocate the wages to the job. Clear? So job X, job Y, and job Z. So hours are there, 15 hours, 12 hours, and 13 hours. So three type of hours they have done. We have to calculate the cost per hour so that we can allocate on the job. Clear? So how much is the, see, 48 hours, the employee is paid for 48 hours. All right. So 48 hours, he is paid 100 per day. So how much it would be? Just calculate, please. Try on your own first. All right. So it's clear. So worker is paid at the rate of 100 per day. So there are 6 days. So 48 hours. The worker is paid for this. So 48 hours into 100 in 1 minute. 6 days. He has worked for 48 hours. So there's some problem today. Okay. So 6 days into 100 per day. So it's 600 plus DA is 120%. So 120% plus 120% DA. So 600 plus 120% comes out to 1320. So the worker is paid 1320 for 6 days in a week. Clear? So that means for 48 hours, he is paid 1320 as the cost for 48 hours. Is it clear? Let me just clear this thing. Let me write it over again properly. All right. So for 48 hours, the labor is working and he's getting 1320. But he is allowed to take 30 minutes, that means 40 minutes of break every day. So how much in hours? 40 minutes every day into 6 days divided by 60. So 4 hours idle time, less idle time which is normal hours comes to 4 hours. 40 minutes every day, clear? So 40 minutes every day into 6, 240 minutes. You convert it into hour, divide by 60. So it will be 4 hours. So he has taken normal idle time. He's allowed the normal idle time of 4 hours. That means effective hours again. Effective hours are 44 hours. 44 hours are effective normal hours and the cost will be 1320. So there the normal idle time is always a part of the cost of production. Clear? The normal idle time is always part of cost of production. So we are paying 1320 for 48 hours. But actually 1320 we have to cover on 44 hours. Clear? So the rate per hour should be normal. 1320 divided by effective hours. It's always effective hours. Effective hours means for the hours which he should have worked. So he should have worked for 44 hours because 4 hours is the normal idle time. So how much is the rate coming? Divided by 44. So it's 30. 30 per hour is the normal rate, normal labor rate per hour, 30 per hour. It's the normal. Clear? So now how much he has actually worked? See, 48 hours was the total time available. 44 hours he should work. But he has actually worked for how much? 15, 12 and this comes out to 5, 6, 7 and 40 hours. He has actually worked for 40 hours. So students, there are 3 parameters. The total time available is 48 hours, but he should work for 44 hours. But he has actually worked for 40 hours. So what is that 4 hours? There's a difference of 4 hours. He should have worked for 44 hours, but he has worked for 40 hours. What's this 4 hours different? What will you call this 4 hours? Can anybody tell me what you call this 4 hours? Yes, a portion of PF can be drawn on certain occasion. That's a separate thing. Clear? It's your money, you can withdraw, but you can not withdraw it for any other reason. You just don't want, you want shopping and you will withdraw from PF. No. So we can withdraw from PF for certain reasons which are authorized. Like, the marriage of your child or your construction of your house. For those purposes only, money can be withdrawn from PF. But again, money withdrawn from PF and what we are doing here as contribution are 2 different things. All right, understood. Good. So effective 4 hours cost. I'm asking what is the, yes, time wasted. So we know that the time is wasted, but what we call this waste of time? See, this waste of time is normal. But this waste of time, 44 minus 40, is abnormal idle time. This we call it as abnormal idle time. Clear? So this 4 hours extra he has wasted is called as abnormal idle time and it will not be part of cost of the product. All right. So now 30 per hour. So 5 hours into 30, 12 hours into 30 and 13 hours into 30. So that will be the labor cost which is allocated to job X, Y and Z on the basis of 30 per labor hour. This is how we calculate and allocate the direct labor cost to the jobs or to the products. Clear? So we will calculate the normal labor hour first on the basis of the effective hours and the cost. And then we will see how much actually has worked. But these are only 40. We have to do the costing for 44 hours. Because total amount should be 1320, that should be charged. So this amount is charged, if you just calculate the amount, please. So this is 450. This is 360. And this is 390. If you add the total, it will not be equal to 1320. So abnormal idle time also we have to calculate the cost. So 4 hours of abnormal idle time into 30. 120 will go to profit or loss account. It's an abnormal idle time cost. It will not be allocated to the jobs. Clear? So this 120 will not be allocated to the jobs. This is the direct cost. But this is abnormal idle time, which is an abnormal cost. It will directly go to costing profit or loss account. It will not be a part of cost of production. See, this abnormal time, abnormal cost of 120, we have not allocated to jobs. In the jobs, we only allocate the direct cost, which should have been there. Clear? So this is how we calculate and allocate the direct labor cost to the jobs. And taking in view the abnormal idle time is part of it, but abnormal will never be a part of the cost of the labor, direct labor cost. It will directly go to costing profit or loss account. So students, I hope you have understood. Yes, it's an abnormal time. 4 hours is time. It's not time saved. It's time lost. It's time lost, not time saved. Yes, abnormal way. So in cost control process, we reduce this idle time. Yes. So in cost control, we can reduce abnormal idle time. See, normal time we should not reduce. We should not reduce the lunch break. We should not reduce the tea break. But abnormal idle time we should use. The worker should have worked for 44 hours. Why he has worked for 40 hours? That means he has wasted 4 hours extra. That is abnormal. All right. All right. Okay. So let us move on. I hope students, you have understood this. Okay. Let's move on. Okay. So we have this solution also. So 44 hours, 1320, 30. Abnormal idle time is 4 hours. You can have a look of the final time. Vijit, I have already explained 44 hours. Students, please pay attention. It's very difficult to explain again and again. I'm already explaining everything in much detail. All right. 44 hours, 48 hours were the total. 6 days into 8 hours. 48 hours is total. 40 minutes break every day. For 6 days, it comes out to 4 hours. Please calculate. All right. Okay. So this is again the final allocation. So the normal cost will be allocated to the jobs, and this abnormal cost will go to costing profit or loss account. So that way the total comes to 1320. All right. So let's move on to overtime. Overtime, I think everybody knows, if you're working beyond working hours, your time is 9 to 5. All right. So generally, if you're there for 8 hours, but your overtime will not start beyond 8 hours. Normally, the overtime will start beyond 9 hours because, sometime you take, to pack up the things to go to the factory gate. So generally, normal idle time, the overtime will start beyond 9 hours. If your working hours are 8 hours, the normal time will start beyond 9 hours. Clear? So which you are working beyond normal working hours is called as overtime. Overtime is the amount of wages paid for working beyond normal working hours. Overtime payment consists of 2 elements. So students, basically, let us say you are working for 8 hours. The normal working time is 8 hours and the basic wage rate, is 100 per hour. And the overtime rate is 50 per hour. Clear? So for normal work, 8 hours if you're working, you will be paid 8 hours into 100. That means 8,000. So this is the normal one. But now let us say you are working for 1 hour extra, or 1 hour extra you will be paid. Clear? So for this 1 hour extra, it has 2 elements. Number 1, you will be paid at the basic wage rate plus the overtime rate. So that exactly it means. Overtime payment consists of whatever extra time you have worked. You will be paid first the basic rate plus the extra overtime payment. So total for this extra hour, you are paid 150 per hour. But out of 150, 100 is the basic rate you will also be paid. So basically, you are working for 9 hours. And for 9 hours, you will be paid 100 per hour first. All right. But for 1 hour, you will be paid 50 per hour extra. Clear? So that is overtime is always consist of two elements. For that extra hour, you will be paid at the basic rate also plus the overtime rate, which will be slightly extra. All right. So overtime payment is wages paid for overtime at normal rate plus premium. So 50 is the premium amount. 50 is the premium and 100 is the basic. Clear? Abnormal time. Gunjan, see, you have to understand the things. Employee is getting 1320 only. Employee is getting for normal idle time also and for abnormal idle time also. You need to understand this. We are calculating, while calculating the labor cost, we don't have to take the abnormal cost. बट लेबरर को तो हम 1320 ही पे कर रहे हैं, लेबरर का पैसा नहीं काटा जा रहा. ऑल राइट. सो एबनॉर्मल आइडल टाइम का पैसा क्यों नहीं मिलेगा? उसको तो मिल रहा है पैसा. ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इज पेइंग 1320 टू द एम्प्लॉय फॉर फुल 48 आवर्स, बट एम्प्लॉय हैज वर्कड फॉर 40 आवर्स. तो एम्प्लॉयर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का जो कॉस्ट है वो बढ़ गया. Because the employer is paying the employee for 48 hours, उसका पैसा नहीं कट रहा है. We are paying total 1320 to the employee, but he has worked only for 40 hours. That means the organization is losing those 8 hours. 4 hours तो idle time है, normal है, but extra 4 hours की cost organization is suffering. उसका पैसा नहीं कट रहा है. All right. So I hope you understand this. Okay, let's move on to the question again. What is 800? I don't understand, Srinivasan, what you want to say. So this is overtime, what I was talking about. So overtime premium, the rate of overtime work is always higher than the normal time rate. Usually it is double the normal rate. So extra amount so paid is called overtime premium. Rate and conditions again can be fixed by the organization. All right. So see, why we work for overtime. Okay, for 900 for 9 hours, cost is 100 per hour. So it's not 950. It will be 9,500. All right. So overtime now, in which situations overtime can happen? The customer may agree to bear the entire charge of overtime. Let us say the workers are working overtime because the customer has given an order and customer says, I will bear the overtime charge. So all the overtime charges, whatever you have, the organization has to pay to the employees will be charged to the customer because the employees are working overtime due to the customer order. Clear? Second cause of overtime could be that there is a shortfall in production and because of that the workers has to match up the production. So they are not able to achieve the production target. So they are running short of the target. So they are working overtime to cover up the production target. So again, the cost will go to the production overhead. Clear? It will not be a part of the direct labor cost. It will be part of the overheads of the production department because they are working overtime. If the overtime is required to make up the shortfall in production due to some fault of the management, so overtime cost will be charged to that department due to which the workers are working overtime. So it will charge to that department because it's their fault. Yeah. In other cases, we are working overtime because we want to expand the market or the demand. So let us say if there are certain abnormal reasons, then it will go to costing profit or loss account. So there could be many reasons for overtime. Due to the customer order, you will charge the overtime to customer. If you have to meet the production target, it will be charged to production department. If it's because of the mistake of some other department that you could not achieve, then you have to charge it to that department. Or for any abnormal reason, it will go to costing profit or loss account. So this is how an overview of where the overtime, cost will be charged, how the overtime cost will be charged, because it's over and above the normal labor cost. All right. So there has to be some reason why you have worked overtime. and it carries a higher cost. See, it's an extra cost to the organization. So every department has to justify why this extra cost. Clear? So this is how it is done. So let's move. Okay, so students, there is an illustration for us. Just take a note of this illustration. I have some doubts related to, you can post your queries, Neha, and then because if you have many doubts in the knowledge questions, you can just post your queries and I think we can reply on that. Wherever you are posting your queries, you can, and then we can reply on that. Or and you also can do one thing, you can just post your you can just tell the question number and everything, and in the I'll just get back to it, and in the next session I can always come back and give you the answer. That again will be a better way. So any which way you can do. Management wala overtime. Management overtime, see, let us say because of the fault of some management, the worker, let us say the purchase department could not supply the raw material on time, they delayed it, or because the storekeeper could not transfer the raw material properly to the production department on time, so production got delayed, but it was the mistake of the stores department. So whatever overtime cost the production department has to bear, it's because of the mistake of stores department. Clear? So it will be charged to stores department. So there could be many reasons why the overtime has happened. Or if the management has taken time to let us say a normal order takes about 5 days, but the management has given you less time to produce, so again it will be charged to the management. So it will be charged to that particular department, due to which the overtime is basically the cause of the overtime has the source in any department, then you will charge to that particular department. All right, so let's quickly start this illustration. Let's try to understand. Now here I explained you have to calculate the earnings also and the employee cost also. See, both are different things. Otherwise, you would have calculated just one thing. So you have to calculate the earnings also and you have to calculate the employee cost also. Clear? So basic wages are given, DNS allowance is given, contribution to provident fund, contribution to employee state insurance, and overtime. Overtime is, okay, this is the overtime. Overtime is done on job Y. And only A has done overtime on job Y it has been done. Overtime, the normal working hours are 200. These are the normal working hours. Why you require this? To calculate the rate per hour, the labor cost per hour. Clear? So overtime is paid the double of the total of normal wages and DNS allowance. Employers contributing to state are at equal rates. So employer contribution to state insurance and provident fund are at equal rates. So employer and employee both are contributing 8% each. Employer and employee both are contributing 2% each to ESI, and both are contributing to PF also, equal amount. Clear? So now let us calculate first the earnings. Clear? So earnings we have for A and B. Basic wages 10,000 for A and 16,000 for B. DNS allowance 50%. So 5,000 and 8,000. So we have the basic and the DA ready. We are calculating earnings. Clear? So 15,000 basic DA and 24,000 basic plus DA. So basic plus DA is 15 and 24. I hope this much you have understood. Now overtime also. Overtime is paid at double the total of normal wages and DNS allowance. Double the total of, all right. So let us calculate the normal rate first. Clear? So normal overtime is based on normal wages and DA. Normal wages and DA, that means 15,000. So what is the overtime rate? 15. Only A is doing overtime. So for overtime, we only have to take basic wages and DA. That's it. Clear? So that means the total is 15,000 divided by 200 normal working hours. So what is the rate, normal rate for overtime? We have to calculate the normal rate. 15,000 divided by 200. 15,000 divided by 200. 75 is the rate per hour, the normal rate per hour for employee A. Basic and DA, that's it. And overtime is paid at double the total. So double, that means the rate should be double. So overtime rate has to be 150 per hour. Overtime rate is double the rate of wages and DA. Clear? So we have calculated the rate and then we have double the rate. So 150 per hour is the overtime rate. And overtime he has worked for 10 hours. So plus overtime for A is 1500. Overtime for A is 1500. No overtime for B. Clear? So this is how we do it. There are other ways also to do. You can do that also. All right. So you can do other way also. You can double the basic and DA. So it comes to 30,000. Total of DA and basic is 30,000 divided by 200. It will come to 150. So any which way you can do. So I have calculated the wage rate per hour first and then multiplied by 2. So it is 150. Clear? So overtime is 150 into 10. Clear? Now we have to calculate the contribution, the earnings of employee A and B. So the employee contribution will be deducted less. Employee contribution, we are calculating the earnings. Employee contribution will be deducted. So employee contribution 8% on basic wages. So employee contribution to PF and ESI. Both will be deducted from the salary. We have to calculate the earnings first. How much A and B will receive in hand. So when we calculate the earnings, I told you, employee contribution will be deducted. But when we calculate the cost of employee, then employer contribution will be added. So both are totally different. Clear? So here we will deduct. Here we will deduct 8% of 10,000 is 800. 2% 200. 8% of. All right. So it's 1280 and 2%. It should be 320. Please just check the figures, students. All right. So now you deduct. So total, do the total 16,500 minus 800 and minus 200. It will be 15,500 A will get as the earnings. And how much B will get? 24,000 minus 1280 minus 320. 22,400 B will get. Students, this is how we have calculated. I hope you have understood. Take a note of this. We have calculated the earnings first. We have calculated the earnings first. Clear? So earnings of A and B, basic plus DA, overtime is paid at double the basic plus DA. So you can do double also. 15,000 ka double is 30,000 and divided by 200. So the overtime rate is 150 per hour. So for overtime, 10 hours is there. The overtime rate is 10. The overtime worked is 10 hours. This is here. It's just hidden from the board. And then employee contribution to PF and ESI will be deducted when we calculate the earnings. So A will get 15,500 in hand and B will get 22,400 in hand after deductions of PF and ESI. All right. Students, have you understood the earnings? Shall we proceed? Have you understood the earnings part? How we calculate the earnings? Shall I move on? Shall I assume you have understood? All right. So let us calculate the employee cost now. It's different. Employee cost is different. Let me just erase it and I can show it over here only. 1 minute. So I'm just erasing it off. I hope you have understood this. So I'll be doing it here only. Okay. So now the cost. Till now we have done the earnings. Now we will be doing the cost. Cost A and B. So again, 10,000. So we'll start with 15,000. 10,000 plus 50% and 16,000 plus 50% is 24,000. So this is the cost to the employer also. Plus, now add. We will add. What we will add? Employer contribution. Employer contribution we will add PF and ESI. So employer contribution we have to add it. Clear? So they are contributing at equal rates. So 800 and 200 will be added. Employer contribution. See, employer is paying 15,000 to A, and over and above, employer is also contributing 1,000 towards the fund. So it is also cost to the employer. एक्चुअल कॉस्ट एम्प्लॉयर की 16,000 है, 15,000 नहीं है. 15,000 एम्प्लॉय को मिल रहा है, लेकिन एम्प्लॉयर 1,000 और कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहा है उसके पीएफ एंड ईएसआई के लिए. क्लियर? सो 1280 and 320 is also the cost to the employer. Clear? This is the total cost to the employer. See, now students, although employer is also paying the overtime, but when we have to allocate it to jobs, overtime is what will be, the employee will receive overtime. That's not an issue. But to calculate the rate per hour, we will not include overtime to calculate rate per hour, because every time overtime will not be there. Clear? We will be separately adding it to the jobs directly. So I'm repeating, we will allocate the overtime to job Y directly. We will not include overtime to calculate the rate per hour, because it otherwise तो वो सब में spread हो जाएगा. So we will include the overtime directly to Y later. But to calculate the rate per hour, employee cost per hour, we have to calculate, only then we will apportion. Clear? So it is 16,000 for A. And how much is for B? 24,000 plus 1280 plus 320. 1,600. So to the employer, for employee A, the cost is 16,000 and 25,600 for B. Now you apportion 16,000 to X, Y, and Z in the ratio of 40%, 30%, and 30%. This is how we do. So first thing, we have calculated the earnings. These are the earnings. Earnings means which the employee will receive. So again, I'm explaining you the last time. When we calculate the earnings to the employee, we deduct the employee contribution. But when we calculate the employee or employer cost, all right, then we add the employer contribution, which is contributing towards the fund. Clear? So employer cost we have to allocate to the jobs. This to employee will take along with him. But employer को कितना cost पड़ रहा है? 16,000 for A and for B is this. So now 16,000 will be shared between X, Y, and Z. So worker A has worked on 3 jobs and the cost to worker A is 16,000. So it will be distributed, plus we will be adding 1,500 overtime extra directly on Y. Okay? And again, 25,600 will be distributed to X, Y, and Z in the proportion 50, 20, and 30. So this is how it is done. All right. Students, have you understood? Good. Okay. Good that you have understood. So this is the earnings and cost. This has to be different. So please note. Clear? Okay. So we have the solution also. Earnings to the worker. Earnings to the worker, basic DA. Overtime 1,500 we calculated. So the gross wages and then the deduction part. See that deduction. So net wages earned. So this the employee will take away with him in cash. Clear? Or whatever the mode of payment. So this is actually we calculated. And now the employee cost to the organization. So gross wages, see excluding overtime. You cannot include overtime in calculating the rate. तो rate तो के बेस पे तो सब पे शेयर हो जाएगा, but हमें overtime सिर्फ Y को देना है क्योंकि A ने ही काम किया है overtime. Clear? So the normal cost divided by the working hours. So this is the ordinary rate per hour. ऐसे भी कर सकते हो. Rate per hour you just calculate, but आप सीधा 16,000, 25,600 you can distribute also. So but rate per hour also you should calculate. So divide by 200 normal working hours. There is no normal idle time in the question. So this is the normal working hours. All right. Okay, so allocation of wages also is seen. See, product X, job X, job Y, and job Z. 16,000 is distributed in the ratio of 4:3:3. Overtime is directly going to product Y, job Y. Overtime is directly going to job Y. All right. And worker B, 25,600 is distributed in this ratio. Clear? So this is the total cost for job X, Y, and Z. So this is how the direct labor cost is allocated to the jobs. हम अभी direct cost ही कर रहे हैं. Direct cost is directly. See, worker A is directly working on job XYZ. Worker B is directly working. So we know exactly how much they have worked. Clear? So this is the apportion allocation of direct labor cost. अभी यहाँ पे हमने इनडायरेक्ट नहीं किया. इनडायरेक्ट में तो हमें पता ही नहीं है how much on the job A, B, and C or job X, Y, Z and Z. We will share the overhead, the cost, the indirect labor cost will be shared on some overhead rate. But this is the direct allocation because we know exactly how much worker A and B has worked on X, Y, and Z. Clear? So this is the concept of direct cost and indirect cost. So we are allocating the direct cost. Why to add Y for overtime? Because it's mentioned in the question that Y has worked overtime. I think it's hidden. That's why you were not able to see. It was mentioned in the question. I think now you can see overtime is done on job Y. It's mentioned in the question. Overtime was done only on job Y and it's showing against worker A. So A worker has worked 10 hours of overtime and only on job Y. That's why we have added only on Y. I hope you've got the question correct now. Okay? Okay. Gunjan, I just explained overtime is not to calculate the rate we cannot add overtime. Other rate के हिसाब से तो सब में distribute हो जाएगा overtime. Overtime is done only on one job and only by one worker. How we can include in the calculation of normal rate per hour? We cannot. All right. Why employer's contribution has not been added to employees' earning? Employer contribution is not paid to the employee. Employee earnings are how much employee will be taking. Employer contribution is over and above the earnings of the employee, what he is getting. It's not part of employee earnings. It's a law requirement. It's a requirement of the statute, the law, that employer also has to contribute. But the employer contribution, the employee will not be getting now. He will be getting at the time of retirement. It's not part of his earnings as of now. Clear? It's over and above. It's a requirement that employer has to contribute. But it's not a earnings to the employee. But it's cost to the company. It's cost to the company, but not earnings of the employee. Clear? Earnings, employee himself also is not getting his PF. Employee himself is getting a deduction of his contribution. So how can he get the employer contribution? So employer contribution is cost to the company, which we call it as CTC, cost to the company, but not an earnings of the employee. All right. Okay, so overtime should change charge on profit or loss account? No, overtime will go to profit or loss account only when it is abnormal. Normal idle time will not go to profit or loss account. Normal idle time, see, we have normal idle time, so we have added. This is the overtime, no? So overtime is normal. So here overtime we have directly allocated to the job. It's a normal thing. It's part of the cost.
Has it mentioned in the question that this overtime is abnormal? Then you will take it to profit or loss account. Then it will not come here. But every overtime is not abnormal. All right. Must be that, product Y requires some overtime. So unless mentioned in the question, we will not treat it as abnormal. You treat it as normal direct cost. All right. Okay. Overtime is done by A alone, where it is mentioned. See, if you can't understand the question, then it's very difficult. It's mentioned under A only. Can't you see the question? There is no overtime under B. It's mentioned in the question. Please look at the question carefully. All right. Okay, I'm glad, Ashok, you have understood. Okay, Srinivasan, hope you have understood. Saipa, you please read the question again. It's mentioned 10 hours against A only. All right. So students, this is a very important illustration to understand the difference between earnings and cost. Clear? Earnings is what the worker will take along with him in cash or kind or check. And cost to the company is much more than the earnings of the worker. Clear? So for example, Ashok, I can give one more example. Let us say the company is giving transport facility to the employee, and the cost of that transport facility is 5,000 to the employer. So 5,000 is the cost of the company. It will not be earnings of the worker because it's a free facility given. So that's why cost to the company is a better way to understand than earnings. Cost to the company is much more than what the earnings the worker is taking along with him. Are you getting? So वर्कर तो वही लेके जाता है जो उसको हाथ में पैसा मिलता है, but employer incurs much more than what actually the employee gets in hand. Clear? So इसलिए cost to the company is always much more than what the worker is earning or the employee is earning. Clear? Good. If in the question there is not mentioned overtime rate is 150% and normally said 150. In every question, if there is overtime, it will be mentioned. Overtime rate cannot be the same as normal basic wage rate. I repeat. If overtime is there in the question, please do not create hypothetical questions that if this is not given, if that is not given. Everything which is logical, which will be given in the question. If overtime is given in the question, it cannot happen that overtime rate is not given, because overtime rate is not the same as the normal wage rate. Overtime rate has to be different. But still, you have asked, if nothing is given, you can assume as double the basic wage rate. But it normally does not happen. So I think you are satisfied. Your query, I'm able to understand your query. If it's not mentioned, although it will not happen, but if it is not mentioned, you can do the double of the wage rate and you can write an assumption. We assume that the overtime rate is double. Clear? Okay, earning isko kitna? Gunjan, I already explained everything. Earnings, how much the worker is getting. So you please, you have to be very fast. You have to pay attention. I have explained the earnings in detail, how much the earnings the worker is getting. But still you have asked, this is the earnings the worker will be getting. 15,500 and 22,400. So this presentation will be shared also. So you can later also go to the presentation and understand. Yes, at the time of retirement, both employer and employee contribution is given to the employee. At the time of retirement, employee will get two contribution. His own contribution, which he contributed every month, plus the employer contribution also. So at the time of retirement, this 800, so 800 plus 800 and 200 plus 200. Over a period of years, ये तो every month contribution है. ऐसे ही every month, every year, till the time जितना भी service है, the total amount is given to the employee. Both employer and employee, both contribution is given to employee, but only at the time of retirement. Clear? Okay. So I hope now no more queries on this. So let us move further. So I hope you have understood this question. Okay, so we have another illustration before us. Just read this illustration and take a note of this illustration. The basic wage rate is 100. The basic wage rate and the overtime rate. So overtime rate are always higher than the basic. Before and after work, normal working hours is 175% of basic wage rate. Sundays and holidays, 225%. So 175% means 100 is normal out of 175. That means 175 is 100 is normal. So that means it's rupees 175. 100 is normal and 75 will be overtime. I told you overtime has always two elements. One is the normal, another is the overtime premium. Clear? So out of 225 also the breakup is 100 is normal. 225%. That means total 225 rupees. If the normal is 100 rupees and 225%, that means it's 225 rupees. So 100 is normal and 125 is overtime premium. That means over and above. Clear? So for, let us say if they have worked for 1 extra hour, so they will get 175 for that 1 extra hour. But out of 175, 100 is at the normal and 75 is the overtime. So 100 हमेशा normal basic wage rate तो आपको every hour का मिलेगा ही मिलेगा. But over and above 100, whatever you are getting extra is overtime premium. Clear? Okay. So during the previous year, the following hours were worked. Normal time this, overtime before and after working hours this, and Sundays and holidays this. So total hours worked are 125,000 hours. So this is the question. You have to understand the question also first. So what are the total earnings? What is the total cost to the organization? See, the normal working hours will be multiplied by 100. 20,000 working hours. So total the rate will be 175. 175 means 100 basic wage hai or 75 overtime hai. For 5,000 hours worked on Sundays and holidays, they will be paid at the rate of 225 per hour. Out of 225, 100 तो normal wage होगा जो मिलता है और 125 overtime rate extra मिलेगा. Clear? So total comes to 225. So 100 plus 125. 100 plus 75 and it's 100. So basic wage तो आपको every hour का मिलेगा. But normal time का सिर्फ basic मिलेगा और extra time का overtime premium plus extra मिलेगा. So this is called as premium. 75 and 125 is called as premium. Clear? So anybody can calculate the cost, the total cost. So normal time 100 into 1 lakh. Overtime 175 into 20,000. What is the total cost coming? Anybody can calculate? Right. Let's move on. Let us see if there are. Okay. So there are other parts. Okay. So that the question is they have given the total hours of the organization. We have to calculate the rate per hour and then we have to allocate on job Z. So this is how it is done. First, you have to calculate total labor cost. Then you have to calculate the rate per labor hour. And then according to the rate per hour, you will allocate the labor cost on job Z. Clear? And the time spent on job Z is given. So 1,000 normal, overtime 100 and Sundays and holidays 25. So total hours spent on job Z is 1125 hours. All right. Okay, I've got the total. Somebody has got the total 1 crore. Okay. So it's 1 crore 46 lakh 25,000 is the total labor cost that is coming to the organization. If we take the rates which are given, we don't know what to do about these rates, but we have calculated a fundamental thing. So it will be used somewhere. Let us see. Now you are required to calculate the labor cost chargeable to job Z, of course, and overhead in each of the following instances. Okay, so here, what they are asking you have to allocate to job Z. So whatever you will allocate to job Z is direct labor cost. But if the overtime is not the direct cost, then overtime will become overhead. So there are two cases. Number one, when overtime is part of normal activity, That means every Sunday you have to work, every holiday you are working. It's your normal time. It's a normal feature that every Sunday and holiday and beyond and after you are generally working. That means the total hours are your normal time only. चाहे वो ओवर टाइम है लेकिन आप वैसे ही काम करते हो. So in that case, the total hours, the total cost, including overtime, becomes your direct cost. But if overtime is due to some reason, then the overtime will not be part of direct cost. Then overtime will be a part of overhead cost, indirect. Clear? So there are two situations. Number one, when overtime is considered to be a general feature in the organization, then overtime will also be a normal cost. But if overtime is due to some reasons, other reasons, not abnormal, but other reasons, then it will be treated as indirect cost. Direct and indirect, both are cost of production. Abnormal is not part of cost of production. So we are not talking about abnormal here. We are talking about direct and indirect. So indirect could be overhead. Clear? Now A. When overtime is worked regularly throughout the year due to workers' shortage. So here overtime is a normal feature. ओवरटाइम एक्चुअली ओवरटाइम नहीं है. सब लोग हर साल इतना ही काम करते हैं बिकॉज द वर्कर्स आर लेस. सो बेसिकली इसको आप ओवरटाइम मत बोलो, ये तो नॉर्मल टाइम ही हो गया आपके लिए. क्लियर? सो हियर इट विल बी पार्ट ऑफ द कॉस्ट. सो फर्स्ट वी हैव टू कैलकुलेट द एवरेज रेट, क्योंकि अलग अलग रेट है अलग अलग आवर्स के लिए. सो टू कैलकुलेट द एवरेज रेट, so just calculate the average rate. We have three different rates. So we have to calculate one average rate. 1,46,25,000 divided by 1,25,000 hours. So what is the rate per hour? Average rate per hour. Anybody can give me the average rate per hour? Shall I calculate 146,25,000 divided by 125,000 hours? 117 is the average rate per hour. Average rate. Clear? So 1125. Now in case A, it's a normal thing, the overtime. So 1125 hours will be charged at the normal average rate. Overtime is actually not overtime. It's considered to be a regular time. So it will be charged directly on the job as a direct cost because it's just like a normal time. So we will be calculating on the basis of average rate. We always see on the job, we should always allocate on the basis of rate. Clear? We should always calculate the rate and then apply it on the job. All right, I repeat. Whenever we have to do allocation on a job, you should always calculate the labor cost per hour. And then you have to allocate on the job. So here are three different rates. So आप average calculate करो and then you have to apply. This is important. इसमें आपको अलग अलग नहीं करना, आपको एवरेज रेट में ही अप्लाई करना है. सो द फर्स्ट केस एवरीथिंग विल बी ऑन जॉब जेड. क्लियर? यस, 117. Okay. Okay, Ashok, in the next lecture of employee, first I will see. So we'll do in the next lecture, we'll always take the previous lecture queries first and then I'll continue. Okay. So this time also, you just see, just go through the concepts again and then just post your queries. Clear? And if anybody has missed the recording, you can always have the recording later. You have the recording and you go through the recording later also. But, if you will ask that, okay, we could not attend the recording and, I cannot explain the concept again to you. I'll only entertain the queries. Clear? Recording, if you have missed some part of the recording, then of course the recording will be available later and then you can see the recording to cover up what you have missed. All right. So in the first case, it's 1125 hours into 117. So can you tell me the labor cost, students? 1125 into 117. So 131625 is the labor cost for job Z. Everything is allocated to job Z because overtime is a normal thing in the organization. Now second, overtime is worked irregularly to meet the requirements of the production. आपका प्रोडक्शन में कुछ प्रॉब्लम हो गया, यू कुड नॉट मीट द प्रोडक्शन टारगेट, इसलिए आपको ओवर टाइम काम करना पड़ रहा है. बट इन दिस केस ओवर टाइम विल बी पार्ट ऑफ ओवरहेड. It will not be part of direct cost. That exactly I mentioned when we talked about. See, I'll just take back you to that thing where I was explaining. When overtime is due to shortfall in the production due to some unexpected development, and you have to make up for that, then overtime should be charged as overhead of that particular department. Clear? It should not be part of the direct cost. It should be part of that. Now, again, it's indirect. It's not abnormal. It's indirect cost. It will not be a direct cost. That's the only difference. Clear? So here, since your overtime is due to your irregular production, there was something happened in production कि आप target नहीं meet कर पाए. So overhead, the overtime should be part of overhead. So here, what will happen? The normal time, जो the normal wage rate है. All right. So 1,000, 100 into 1,000 will be the normal direct cost. 100 hours, the 100 again will be the direct cost. Overtime alag hai. All right. So here 100 into 75 will be overtime, but this will be normal. So total is 175. 25 hours ka rate hai 225. 100 will be normal, but 125 will be overtime. Is it clear? This you need to understand. The normal basic wage rate तो direct cost ही है. Overtime का जो part है, overtime premium जो आप extra दे रहे हो, that is overhead. All right. This you need to understand. Total. Okay, so we have this solution also. You will understand it better. So this is the total amount which we have calculated. We have already calculated. See here, 175 and 225. Inflated wage rate we have calculated. Okay, now you understand here. See, 1125 hours into 100 is the normal time which will be charged. And overhead will only be the overtime part, 75 and 125. That you need to understand. So I'll explain it over here also. Let me just clear it to you. You need to understand better the normal wage rate part is not overtime. So overtime always has two parts, 1125. So 100 into 1125 will go to your job. Total 1125, the basic wage rate will go to job. 75 into 100 hours will go to overhead. And here 125 into 25 hours will go to overhead. So the normal wage rate hai overtime extra ke andar. For total 1125 will go to job only. Overtime ka part 75 or 125 ही है. Clear? So it's 100 plus 75. It's 100 plus 125. This part is overhead. But this will be treated as normal wage only. So the normal wage rate for the total hours will go to the job as direct labor cost. And the overtime premium wala part will go to factory overhead. This you need to understand. आप total 175 into 100 नहीं कर सकते हो overhead के लिए. Clear? So I hope you've understood this. Yes. Which one you are talking? Illustration 4. Illustration 4 of which topic? Illustration 4 of which topic, Mamta? Kindly elaborate. I'll see. All right. So I think this part is clear to you. Where overtime is worked irregularly. Now the third part. Where overtime is worked at the request of the customer to expedite the job. So here the overtime will also be charged to the customer. So here there is no overhead, there is no direct cost, कोई internal job नहीं है. Everything will be charged to the customer. Because of the customer order, we are working overtime. So here the entire amount this. यहाँ पे फिर job और overhead कुछ नहीं होगा. The entire part will be charged to the customer as the part of the order which we will receive from him. Clear? So in the third case, the entire part will be charged to the customer. फिर उसमें direct और indirect cost का concept ही नहीं है. फिर तो we have to charge everything from the customer. तो वो चाहे direct हो या indirect हो, everything the customer will pay to us. It's not a regular production. So we charge on the job or as part of overheads when we talk about regular production जो हमारा चलता है. But when the overtime is for a particular customer order, then there is no concept of direct and indirect cost. Everything will be charged to the customer. So the normal wage rate, the overtime, everything will be charged to the customer. Okay. Okay, so okay, yes. This is at the request of the customer. Everything will charge to the customer. There is no concept of indirect or direct cost. But when we have to charge to the our regular production, then this will be the direct cost, and this part 10625 will be the indirect cost, which will be charged as overheads. Clear? So this you need to understand. All right. Illustration 4. Why can't we calculate case A when we have calculated in case B? What we have calculated in case A, not time. It's not part of any reason. The labor is short, so we have to calculate the average rate. But in B, we have to split the cost because one part is direct and the other part is indirect. But in case A, the entire cost is direct cost. So direct cost has to be allocated to the job on the basis of a rate. And we have three different rates. We always we should calculate the average rate. All right. So that is what is there. Illustration employee cost. Amount is equal. Which amount you are talking about? I'm not able to understand. Mamta, illustration 4. You haven't attended. I mean, no, you didn't tell me to attend the question number 4. I don't know. See, my study material is not before me. I have a presentation before me. All right. How would I know which illustration, which page number? You have to tell me the topic, the module, which illustration it belongs to, that I will see. And you are saying you have not attended. I don't even know which illustration you're talking about. So if you will tell me, then only I can address the concern. Employee cost and overhead illustration 4. But I have started employee just now, and overhead we have not even started. So which illustration you are talking about? I think you are a bit confused. Relating to overtime, but a complicated question. See, we are already doing overtime questions. We'll be doing more such questions. There are many questions in the presentation. So at least wait a while. Preeti, this is illustration 5 in book, ma'am. Okay, see, I don't have the study material before me. I will see illustration 4 and 5 of employee cost, and I'll get back to you tomorrow. I don't know which illustration you are talking about. 4 or 5, I don't remember the illustration by numbers. All right. Okay, so this is the what we were doing, the illustration of the overtime and how we actually charge the overtime, how we charge it as direct cost, how we charge it as direct and overheads, and how we book the entire cost to the labor. So this is how it's done. So I think enough for today. Just practice them again, and tomorrow we'll get back to for the rest of the concepts, and lot of concepts and lot of things we have to cover in tomorrow's session. So, and I'll just have a look at illustration 4 and 5. I'll just note it down and we'll get back to you. Page number 3.21. Again, see the page number, I'm not sure, because the page number in your study material and the material I have might be different. So I'll go with illustration. I hope you're talking about employee cost module only. Clear? So illustration 4. But somebody is saying illustration 5. So I don't know, you yourself seems to be confused. Again, chapter 3, illustration 4. Students, you should mention the chapter. It's not chapter. It's a, unit. You should at least mention material or employee or whatever. Chapter 1, 2, 3. I don't understand like this. Clear? I don't have the study material before me. So you should always mention the topic name. I hope you know yourself what is the topic name you are mentioning. It's employee. Illustration 4, and what I have understood that you are talking about employee module, material, introduction. Which module you are talking for? I don't remember and I don't understand. You should very clearly specify, otherwise I won't be able to help. In both illustration 4 and overhead chapter, we have not even started, Mamta. I think you yourself are confused. Illustration 4 and 5 I noted down. So I'll see the illustration 4 and employee of the employee module. All right. So I think I'll get back to you. Question number 5, material. Question number 5, material. Okay, I'll see, and then we'll get back to you. Whatever I haven't understood what you are asking, I don't know, somebody is confused. We'll get back to you tomorrow, and we'll continue with the employee cost session. But do practice what all we have covered today, so that you'll be able to understand the next part of the session tomorrow. And yes, we'll get back to whatever the queries I have understood that you have. So we'll address it tomorrow. All right. Okay, class. Thank you so much for today. Happy learning and happy studying. Thank you.